Well, good morning, everyone, and it is day 9. It is Wednesday, the 9th of April, 2020, and the title on your notes for today is I Thirst. Of course, we're looking at the last words of Jesus on the cross, and we get these words from John 19 and 28. I thirst. After this, when Jesus knew that all was now finished, he said, I am thirsty. And of course, he said this in order to fulfill the scriptures. I thirst. We could hear these words from the cross as Jesus finally showing us his human side, the humanity of Jesus on display. That's how we could hear them. After all, he is suffering a physical death and he is experiencing all of the pains that go with it. And he is very simply thirsty. He's fully God. He is fully man. He is the God man. And Jesus was silent, if you remember, all the way through his trial, his beatings, silent through the warped Roman torture. And yet here on the cross, it shows us that he is as human as the rest of us. I thirst. And yet John records, after this, when Jesus knew that all was now finished, he said, I thirst. In other words, his mission on earth was fulfilled. The work he had to do on earth was now finished. Have a read sometime at Psalm 22 and Psalm 69, and you'll see the connection there with that. But you see, Jesus, always a teacher, was giving us one final reminder, one final plea, as it were, from the cross for us to recognize what his mission was all about, to recognize our own need for a Saviour, for one last way to recognize that we're all truly thirsty for living water. And not only do we need help to recognize our own thirst, we need help to see those around us who are thirsty as well. If we had been at the cross when Jesus said this, I thirst, wouldn't we have tried to run to his aid? Yet Christ tells us that we have the opportunity to serve him that drink every day. In the Gospel of Matthew, Jesus tells us of the last judgment when the king will say to the righteous, come, you that are blessed of my Father, inherit the kingdom prepared for you from the foundation of the world. For I was hungry, and you gave me food. I was thirsty, and you gave me something to drink. I was a stranger, and you welcomed me. I was naked, and you gave me clothing. I was sick, and you took care of me. I was in prison, and you visited me. But the righteous answered, Lord, when was it that we saw you hungry, or thirsty, or naked, or sick, or in prison? And the Lord answered them, truly I tell you, just as you did to the least of one of these who are in my family, you did it to me. 3 weeks ago, friends, the Jam Store Food Bank looked as if it was going to have to close for the foreseeable future. With no food, and we had no means of getting any. The schools had closed, Asda had stopped, Kearney's had stopped, no way of getting anything in. But God had different plans. And friends, in the last 3 weeks, between the Incolon Trust, the council and private donors, we have sufficient funds to run the food bank right through this crisis. £6,500 to be exact. Now, how does that equate? 10 parcels in the last 4 days, 30 more going out today. Next Wednesday, another 40 to 50, and on the Thursday, another 30 plus. It's just getting more and more. You see, the God who cried, I thirst, provided the means and the produce, even in a crisis. All of these go out with gospel tracts on board. All of these go out with the prayers of us all. Pray for each one. So Jesus tells us We have the opportunity every day to care for him in the way in which we care for each other. Have we forgotten that what we do unto the least of these, we do to him? That's why this message from the cross is so beautiful. There is no condemnation. There's no judgment. There is no shaking of the head in disgust. Even though Christ knew that we would fail at this over and over again, in the beauty of that last moment and out of the depths of his own physical suffering, when all of his work on earth was done, there comes one simple plea from the cross: I thirst. And it comes to us today from the least of these, from the welfare mother, from the victim of abuse, from the oppressed, from the disabled, from the victims of coronavirus and famine and hunger. And all of these we have been able to help because of God's provision. Jesus is saying to us again, don't forget, these dear folks are the whosoever of John 3 and 16. Let me leave you this verse, Matthew 5, 6 and 7. Blessed are those who hunger and thirst for righteousness, for they will be filled. Blessed are the merciful, for they will be shown mercy. My friends, today, show mercy. Show kindness to someone. Tell someone of our beautiful Saviour. And may the Lord bless you real good today. Thank you.